Welcome back to the Scarves and Spikes YouTube channel. Sydney, Tommy, and Henry with you. Atlanta United releasing its 2025 regular season schedule today, so we're going to talk about that. Talk about some of the highlights of the schedule. Talk about some of the things that jumped out to us, and go on from there. But guys, let's talk about first off the home opener coming up in just a few weeks, 6 weeks from now, I believe, February 22nd against CF Montreal, and then decision day against DC United at home on October 18th. So maybe let's start out there. Start out with maybe one or two matches that you all are mostly interested in this upcoming schedule.
Well, like you said, the home and how you end it, the way you start it and how you end it, you ended at home, right? Against some teams that have been okay. Like, it's hard to look at the schedule now. Like, in any sport, when you get the schedule, right? And it's a little bit different because it's only 2 months away, but still, there's so much that changes with teams, right?
Yeah.
Like, right before we started, Campana just got traded, right? So there's still a lot crazier things to happen in this offseason. So when you look at this, you can be like, oh, this looks like an easy schedule to start, right? Or in the middle of it, it's easy. But things can change pretty drastically here in the next couple weeks. But I like that you're able to start the season at home, right? You're a little bit more comfortable. You have a new coach, right? So you have the entire 70,000 likely people behind you in your first game, which I think is always great. And then you end it with DC, and we'll see what happens with DC. But historically, they've just been meh lately, and if you can finish that off there, great. Because the game before that, which is one of the interesting ones, is going on the road to LAFC.
Yep.
Again.
Always a tough one
Yeah.
on the West Coast against traditionally one of the top teams in the Western Conference. We were talking, Henry, before we started off. Another big match, or two big matches, of course, coming up for Atlanta United, March 16th against Inter Miami. On the Sunday night, by the way, MLS doing a little something different this year. Sunday night featured matches. So Atlanta United, Inter Miami at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, March 16th will be one of them. Return fixture, June 28th at Chase Stadium, 7:30 kickoff down there. So two big matches there that we can point to. The first, of course, early season, fourth match of the season against Messi, Suarez, and co. And then late June, down there in South Florida, where it's going to be like sweltering hot.
Yeah, middle of the summer, so it's gonna be fun. But yeah, no, definitely it's always a high profile fixture when you have, Messi and Suarez and co. And I just go back to that second game of the playoffs against them in that 3-game series when they came down to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and it was absolutely awesome. Just the atmosphere, I imagine that for that game it's going to be a full stadium. And yeah, I mean, I can't wait for that for the Benz to be packed out again, for it to be just, deafening in there. It's definitely going to be fun times for sure.
So Doug Robertson reporting that the home opener against Montreal, traditionally home opener is full capacity, so that'll be the same case this year. And then Charlotte on July 19th. For now, those are the two full capacity matches. They normally open it up maybe 5 or so matches a year. They kind of make decisions based on how both teams are doing. So it could be, especially this being one of the featured matches that MLS talks about, that this could eventually be a full capacity match. So we'll definitely see what the club does, what their decision is as far as this one, March 16th against Inter Miami, a Sunday night. Really big match at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And yeah, that's what we were just saying. We'll see how both teams are doing. Miami, I'm sure, will be near the top early on, but we'll see how Atlanta United are doing, especially who they bring in. The other thing that we have to talk about, guys, is this long extended away trip that Atlanta United are going on. So I'll just quickly read it off. May 31st at the Red Bulls, June 12th at NYCFC, June 25th at Columbus, June 28th at Miami, the one we just mentioned, and then July 5th and 12th against DC and Toronto, respectively. Club World Cup going on. Mercedes-Benz Stadium will be unavailable those dates. Really the longest away stretch I can remember Atlanta United having in their club's history. So that's going to be a really grueling stretch. You'll, of course, have the break between June 12th and June 25th due to Club World Cup, the little mini pots that they're doing. But then June 25th, ongoing up till July 12th. You're not playing another home match in that time span. So really going to test the metal guys of this team, of this new manager coming in, these new players coming in. Do they have what it takes to get through it? And I think that's going to be a time period where you're going to learn a lot about this team and where they can truly challenge for the top of MLS.
It's a brutal road stretch, not just because of, they're all away games, but factor in the strength of the opponents. Red Bulls and both New York teams were very good last season. They're expected to be pretty darn good and competitive next season. Columbus, obviously, the previous champs. Miami, we don't have to talk about Miami at all. And then just factor in the travel of it all as well. I mean, you're flying to New York twice. You're flying to Columbus, to Miami. Miami is not too far away, but still, you're going all the way to Toronto. And then the fixture congestion, because you've got Columbus the 25th, and then 3 days later, you're down in Miami.
Yeah.
And then, it's a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see how they manage this. One of the things that Chris Henderson talked about in his introductory press conference was the need to have depth and good depth at that to be successful and competitive in MLS. And so he's going to have his roster building, tested here, because that's going to be kind of the make or break point of this upcoming Atlanta United roster, is whether they can get some points out of that stretch. Because, you're going to need, first of all, your starters, but also who are the guys behind that, and who are the guys that are going to be able to keep you kind of above water in that challenging stretch of time where you've got so much going on, and players are going to get tired. Players are going to, it's going to be a time where you need to count on the full roster and not just your core 11.
Yeah, and I would say the start the season, your first 6 of 9 games are at home, right? And that's great for a new manager to be able to have that many home games, right? Because obviously, we've talked about it, winning on the road in MLS is hard. It's not impossible, right? We just thought it was impossible until towards the end of the season, but it is possible. But again, when you're trying to work on things, you got a new team together, very likely a short period of time, right, to really get it together. We still got a lot of pieces to come in. It's good to be home, right? It's good to not be traveling. You're just focus on training, less travel, and I think that's good for that. The one other thing I wanted to bring up is interesting about some of the times of these games, right? Sunday games that you're seeing, a Thursday game. You're seeing games on Fox, right? I think it's more games on Fox than usual. Now, I haven't looked at the entire broadcast of all the teams, so I'll give you guys a second. Like, I don't know if you've seen how many games are on Fox, but I mean, one of the things I've been talking about for a while now is that you still need to get outside people watching MLS, because that's one of the conversations we had on MLS Monday, was that you still need to grow the game. It's good for the fan, but as far as outside, you're going to be able to watch it. And you just look, I mean, early on in the season, your game against Charlotte is on Fox. The Revolution game. I mean, you've got quite a few games. Nashville, Orlando. Like, there's 3 out of 4 games that you have in a span there where you're all on Fox. And I imagine there's a lot of other teams that are also on Fox. And look, it's not a lot, right? But it does help the league. It makes people know that it's still out there and it's still going. And that's really, I think that's what's going to help grow the game. And that's what, we talked about with Danny yesterday on our podcast about getting, games everywhere. And I think that's a good start.
Yeah. And traditionally, Managers have always been in the fight. They've always televised like 34 matches a year. And this year is no different. But yeah, just kind of to that point, there's going to be a 4-week stretch where they're on Fox every single week. And when we say Fox, we mean Big Fox. So that's going to be key for Atlanta United. But going back to that fixture congestion in the summer, we haven't even talked about Leagues Cup. Leagues Cup, that's the big change, is MLS will not pause for Leagues Cup. Liga MX will not pause for Leagues Cup. They'll play those matches concurrently with league matches. So the matches you see in July and August, that doesn't account for Leagues Cup. You have to throw those in. And that talks to your point, Tommy, about the players that Atlanta United bring in. So it's going to be so key that depth piece gets taken care of. But again, Leagues Cup, you have to throw that in. There's a possible new format for Leagues Cup. Jeremiah Olchan is reporting that. Sounder at Heart. We'll probably post the link in the comments. But possible new format for that. But the gist of it is the league will not pause. It will continue to go on, and matches will be played midweek. So it's another piece of the puzzle to discuss. Another big match we want to talk about is September 20th. San Diego FC is coming to Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. 4:30 kickoff from the Benz. First year outfit, expansion club, Chucky Lozano. Of course, it's a big draw for San Diego FC, but they've added a few nice pieces. They picked up Yaboa in the re-entry draft. They have not signed him yet as of this recording, but they do have 7 days to negotiate. They picked up Anibal Godoy as well. They picked up some other pieces, of course, in the expansion draft. So it's going to be interesting to see what this team and this final form looks like come September. Obviously, there's still a long way to go as it builds its roster, but expansion club, a club that really has high ambitions to compete in MLS, is going to be coming to Mercedes-Benz Stadium on September 20th. And I imagine it's going to have a little Mexican flair to it because of Lozano and the draw he is for Mexican fans. So that's one of the matches that we discussed right before we came on.
Yeah. I mean, recent expansion clubs in MLS have kind of raised the bar for what we expect out of them. Yeah. And I think it almost really started with Atlanta when they came into the league, and 2 years later they won MLS Cup, and not only that, but they showed a brand of soccer that was just exciting for people to watch, and the whole MLS 3.0 thing and all that stuff. And you know what, that for the most part, expansion sides have shown to be continuing that ever since. I mean, and I don't expect San Diego to be any different. St. Louis came into the league and won or went undefeated, 14 of their first few games? I don't even remember. But they came in and went on a tear, and I expect San Diego to, do something similar, especially with the talent that they're getting. They're getting some good, proven MLS talent. They signed Andres Reyes, very good, solid starting center back from New York Red Bulls. Anibal Godoy, solid presence in midfield. Chucky Lozano, obviously, I mean, he's a high-profile player to go with this roster that you're building. And they're still not done yet. So we'll see. I mean, I know we've seen some of the, Kevin De Bruyne rumors, and I don't know how much stock to put into that. But, hey, if he does come into the league, that's even better.
Even more.
Exactly. So we'll see. I for one, am glad they're in the other conference, because I feel like they're going to be competitive, even though this is their first season. But, we'll see. We can really we can predict all we want, but until we don't see them on the field, it's hard to really assess them. So we'll see. But I do expect that to be a good game. And, the Benz, it'll be good to have them there. And also, by that point, we will know whether Atlanta United is real in 2025 or not. So that'll be fun.
I think we will by then. Tommy, what do you think?
I'm just excited right now, just in general. This is my favorite time of the year. Like, Henry leaked one of the games to me earlier. He figured it out. He was using his detective powers and found one of the games. It was like immediately, like, I was like, all right, like let's start planning. Let's start planning trips, right? And I mean, I'm already thinking about coming in for either the home opener or the Miami game, right? Like, that's what people do here, right? They get the schedule and they go out and they plan. I plan to come to you, but mostly people plan to leave Atlanta to go to other games, right? A little bit different, but that's just the fun of it, right? When the schedule comes out. And again, it's hard. It's like saying, okay, well, this team's going to be really good. I mean, everyone said Atlanta was going to be really good, and look at how they were for a lot of the season. So, not going to overreact to the schedule yet. I think once we start getting finalized rosters, at the beginning, mid-February. Then we take a look at this again and see what it is. But right now, I like that if you got to have that huge middle being on the road, I love that you are, like I said earlier, that you're going to be able to be at home for a large part of that early part of the season.
Yeah.
There's a bad part though. If you take a while, right, to be able to sync up and be able to play good soccer here, and you struggle early on, that's a lot of home games where you're giving up points. So while it's an advantage to be able to be at home, right, and have the home crowd behind you, you still have to perform. And if you don't, that's a lot of home games. It's a lot of home games with possibly no points or 1 point. Got to start off strong here, and that's been the talk all last year, right? I mean, we started off with good. I think the first 3 home games we were undefeated, and then we didn't win a home game until October. Being sarcastic there, but like that's what it felt like. That there weren't many. Yeah. You got to start off strong here.
Absolutely. So 2025 schedule is out. We're excited. Soccer will be here before you know it. A couple preseason matches have been announced too at Birmingham and Chattanooga FC, so those will be exciting as well. But before you know it, guys, Atlanta United will be back on the field. Let us know in the comments what matches strike your fancy, which ones you're going to, if you're looking to make an away day out of it. Charlotte is an early season match at Charlotte March 1st. And then just looking through at Orlando City, April 26th, at Orlando.
Nashville is in
August 30th. Yep. So let us know. Maybe you're going to those matches or maybe other matches. I saw Mike Conti say Montreal is the best road trip in the East. Maybe if you're going to that, whichever you're going to, let us know in the comments. And of course, scarsandspikes.com for all the coverage surrounding Atlanta United during the offseason. Like, subscribe, share our videos, share our content. Let everybody know really all about us. It helps us out a lot. Of course, patreon.com/scarsandspikes. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.
See ya.